Welcome to the Her Voice Shines podcast, where we celebrate the power, brilliance, and resilience of women everywhere. I'm your host, Shanasia Washington. Join us as we share inspiring stories and insights from extraordinary women who have found their voice and are making a difference. Together, we'll create a ripple effect, illuminating the path to visibility and empowerment. Let's break barriers, shatter ceilings, and lift each other up. In each episode, we dive deep into the journeys of women who have turned their challenges into triumphs and their dreams into reality. Whether you're looking for motivation, guidance, or a community that understands your journey, you're in the right place. Stay tuned and remember, let your voice shine. Hello, guys, and welcome back. It is your fabulous host, Shanasia Washington, streaming from none other than Houston, Texas, and you have landed at the Her Voice Shines podcast. You know, this is my place of passion because we always bring the best guests. And guess what? I've already had a brief introduction to my guest. Let me just tell you, I am so honored that she's here. I am so honored for her survivor story. And I'm really happy that she has been courageous enough to come forth and talk about her healing journey. Without any further waiting time, we're going to do our normal drill where our guest comes to the stage, tells us her name, where she's streaming from, and we're going to get the power of that story. Without any further waiting time, here's my very beautiful guest for today.
Hi, thank you for that amazing welcome. I appreciate it. Hello to everyone. I'm Chelsea Elizabeth Millsaps. I'm coming to you from Tampa, Florida. And those of you who have seen me speak before, today I'm completely authentic. No makeup, no wig, no spray tan, all visible signs of what happened. And what happened, if you've heard my story, a couple of years ago, I adopted another Great Dane, and he attacked. And in that attack, I lost my scalp, my face, and bled to death. Yes, definitely was one of the most traumatic things of my life. And sitting here today as I am, it's a miracle. From death to life. And I'm blessed. I'm thankful. And a lot of people think that my trauma is the attack, is the dog. It wasn't. It was everything that came after it. And that's the message today. Not about the catastrophic event, not about my death coming back to life, not about the miraculous recovery. No infections, no skin grafts, full recovery. Put on the wig, the makeup, the spray tan. You can't tell anything happened. From losing my ears and scalp to sitting here in front of you looking like a complete human, but very incomplete. And I want no one to ever think that just because I'm sitting here speaking to you that I have it figured out, or that I've healed. I'm still on the journey, and the climb is brutal. It's not for all of us. It's tough. We need each other, and every day is a struggle. But every day we keep getting back up, and we keep working towards a better tomorrow and a better self. The only thing we can do past any trauma is build back, rebuild. Who are we? Who were we? Grieve who you were, and start living who you want to be. You only get one trip around, and when it's about to time out, trust me, you're not thinking about the clothes in your closet or the numbers in the bank account.
Mm-hmm.
You're thinking about all those words you didn't say, all those people you didn't hug, all those moments missed because you were too busy. And so let's get unbusy for a minute, and let's have some fun with it.
And I came back on the screen really just to be present with you in that moment because, as I told you before, and you said, I said, this is nothing short of miraculous, and when I hear these survivor stories, these, very extreme survivor stories, it plants in me something even personal just to keep going on, because that seems like a situation where people would say, you know what, this is the end. I don't know anything else, right? I want to go back a little bit to the moment, the day that it happened.
Yeah.
Can you share with me what you remember most, and then tell me what you remember beyond the physical pain? Tell me, is there anything that you can recollect, or maybe it was just a blur? Tell us a little bit more about the day and then what Chelsea Elizabeth remembered.
Yep, the day, typical Sunday, typical Sunday in August. Hot afternoon thunderstorm. Playing with both my dogs, Amelia and Oliver. That evening, normal routine. Showered, came back downstairs, gonna have some yogurt, watch TV, and get ready for Monday. And the last thing I remember doing prior is coming over to the table and setting my yogurt down, holding it. And there were dogs in the back field. Of course, they were barking at them, typical normal dogs. When they went out of sight, Amelia went and laid down, and Oliver lunged, and he got the lower part of my chin and then the left ear. I fell and busted the chin, and I remember thinking, okay, got to grab the carotid. And so I did. My left hand over the carotid, my right hand in the back. And I remember just a lunge, repeated lunges, and almost just a whiplash of lunge. I remember seeing parts of the face on the floor. And I remember looking up and seeing Amelia crouched in the corner shaking. Of course, as we all know, dogs are pack animals. Amelia was my pack, is my pack. She's still here today. She'll try to make an appearance soon, I'm sure. I don't know how I got away. I don't. I would have told you days after that it was, 1, 2, 3, open the back door. I crawled. Of course, there are photos of the scene. I looked at them, and what I remember is not accurate. I would have told you it was pitch black. It's broad daylight, 6 o'clock in August in Florida, bright sunny day. I would have said, I opened the door, no problem. That tells a different story. And there were bits and pieces captured on camera that I don't remember at all. So how I got out, I can only say that Jesus Christ was here or sent his angel and pulled me out. There are definitely faces that I saw that weren't there. So I'm not sure, I can't tell you with certainty, was it an angel or was it shock? I do know drifting off, I do know it felt more like floating in water, very light, very quiet, very peaceful. Again, shock or, you know, the soul leaving the body. But yes, I clinically bled to death, of course, losing anything on your head. Every artery was cut except for the carotid. So both vertebral, both temporal, frontal, all of those severed, muscles severed. The doctor sewed up 5 feet, 8 inches of what they called a mangled puzzle. And if you look at the back of my head, it definitely looks like a puzzle. But the work they did saved my life. And not one skin graft was required. The protocol that I had, of course, was grim. Before I left the hospital, I had dead tissue on my scalp. How that tissue survived, divine intervention, a miracle. A miracle. Miracles do happen. And the recovery, no, it wasn't easy. Wound care, doctor's appointments every day, home health. If anybody's not told you, home health is like a kind of a house arrest. You can't leave your house if you have home health. And I didn't know that. It was not fun. Of course, where was I going, right? But it wasn't what a typical 40-year-old would be doing with their life. Stuck at home health, bandaging your head, hoping tissue survives. in the hospital, my body basically ate itself to stay alive. And so I went from 118 pounds down to 92 that quick, lost that much weight. And I am a small person, of course, anyway. And it took a very, very long time to get that weight back and to rebuild strength that I had. Very athletic, working out, biking. I mean, if I could go all day, all night, I would go. And so coming from very athletic lifestyle to a very sedative lifestyle was not good. And I'm ADHD, so sit me still, and it was torture. And the worst thing that anyone could say to me is, "Aren't you grateful to be alive?" Because the answer for a very long time was no, I'm not. I liked it better floating. It was better on the other side. Um, and it took me a very long time to want to be alive. And a lot of us have a hard time admitting that. Who wants to admit they'd rather be dead? It's not really, an intro to any conversation. They'll certainly break some ice, but it's not, what we want to say out loud. But for a year, maybe more, sometimes even today, like, gosh, being alive, living through this, having to get through everything that goes with it. No, I'm trying to, I pretend to be grateful most days, and some days I am. But I'm here to tell you that not every day has to be a good day.
Right.
None of us have good days every day. Society tells us we're supposed to. We're supposed to put on the front, put on the wig, the makeup, the spray tan, and present. But that doesn't do us any service whatsoever. It really harms. It does far more harm than good, because we do not get to validate that pain that we feel. We just have to shove it and keep shoving it until one day it just erupts and you don't even know what it is. And it's a whole host of things. And part of my recovery was realizing that no, my trauma is not the dog. I love dogs. I'm still going to have dogs. I'm keeping my dog. She licks all over my head. At first, yes, I was a little awkward, but I realized that she's not hurting me. Dogs, I've owned 10 Great Danes. Never had one bite me. And so it's not the dog. And much like humans, some of them also have trauma, and their reaction isn't to do that kind of harm. It is to protect themselves. And, you really have to identify the facts before you can really begin to heal. Because when I got past the, no, it's not dogs, sorry, what else? I really had to do some serious soul searching and dig down deep and find out what the pain was. And it was a lifestyle change. My life was one way August 19th, and August 20th, everything changed. And I didn't ask for that change. I didn't want that change. I wasn't ready for it. But I can't go back to what I know, what was familiar, what I enjoyed. Because being 6 months away, let me tell you, nobody's waiting for you. Nobody's waiting for you when you get back.
Yeah.
Businesses have changed. People have changed. They're gone. Everybody has moved on. People, places, and things change while you're busy healing. And a lot of the pain isn't what you think. Mine was a complete lifestyle change. But what hurt was not having anything familiar.
Right.
Not having anything to hold on to. And realizing that a lot of people in your life are only there for you to help them. And when you need help, they're suddenly, just nowhere to be found. Suddenly they have this incredibly busy life to live. And then the people that say they love you, don't show up. And you question your reality of love and what that really is today,
Sure.
and how to find what is or what isn't.
Let me just say this. I know that we started with the question of you remembering, and you said, there were some images. I can bet a lot that was an angel. I have no doubt it's not my story, it's your story. It's your experience, not my experience. But I have no doubt that was divine intervention. No doubt at all from that experience. Um, and for me, it's such a faith igniter. It's such a grounding story for me because so often people are, caught in things that are in essence so much smaller and allow those to be kind of speed bumps to healing, speed bumps to living, their best life, speed bumps to, living, in a way that, best amplifies their being. And for that to be so traumatic, Chelsea, and you're sitting here looking this good, speaking with this much clarity, that is nothing small. Everything that you've gone through up until this point, I mean, I don't know any other way to describe it but a faith walk and really a divine intervention. I don't have much words for it. I'm not lost for words that that often. Let me ask you this, because one of the things you said after the trauma that the woman that you were no longer existed. And you talked about that really in the physicality. I can't do the things I used to do. I'm highly physical. There are all these things that changed. That woman, what she was doing for her age group, she no longer existed. How did you begin to meet the woman that you were becoming? Because that passageway is really the lesson. How did you start to meet the new woman? Because, of course, one of the things that you said at the end of the last segment, you said that everything had changed. People had moved on, situations had moved on. And then here I am, this new woman, kind of in a new space with new people, new emotions, new definitions of love, new definition of what my support system looks like. How did you begin to meet that new woman?
Initially, it was staying as busy as possible, numbing it out, forgetting it. I was inundated with doctor's appointments, things I had to do, places I had to be. Wound care ended about 12 weeks after the accident. The wounds had healed enough for me to ring the bell and leave. And I went home, and for the first time, it was quiet. And I lost my mind because in the quiet, when I didn't have anything to plan for, it was all the voices of confusion and emotions that weren't identified. There was no way to know what I was feeling because I was feeling so much. And so I packed suitcases. I loaded my car, loaded my dog, and I drove to Tennessee to spend a week with my family. The week turned into 4 months. I stayed. And I was in the midst of real love, genuine love, the people that supported me and talked to me like I was normal. That they knew what had happened, of course, but we didn't have to talk about that. We got to talk about everything else, what was going on. I hadn't been home for that long in probably 10 plus years. And so going and hanging out at my parents' house and having lunches and dinners with aunts, uncles, cousins, just the family experience that I had not had since I was an 18-year-old kid, before moving out and leaving. And I began to, I wouldn't say feel, but I began to find a foundation that would allow me to peel back some of the layers and figure out the emotions, find the traumas. And it was one Christmas dinner, and I'd been there since October, so 2.5 months. And we were sitting around, and my aunt brought up my cousin's death. He was a police officer killed in the line of duty. And she spoke about the pain and the missing and the moving on and the emotion. And my cousin spoke about losing twins prematurely and the pain, the emotion behind that. And my mom talked about losing her mom. And it was different traumas that were brought up, big and small. But it was right there at that dinner, I thought, and I was eating a grapefruit. Vividly remember sitting there eating a grapefruit, Christmas dinner, dropped the spoon, and I thought, we all feel the same. What in the world? I'm not alone. I'm not as crazy as I thought. It's human pain. It is normal human emotion that somewhere someone told us that nope, got to dust it off, get back up, go to work. Don't feel that. Can't feel that. If you cry, you're just a wimp. You're hormonal. You're emotional. If you're a woman, oh, it must be your period. Do you know what PMS is, guys? 2 weeks before, count it. It's not. You look at stuff like that, but even those little things irritate you the most because you don't know what it is. You just know it's not right. And then finally you hear you're not alone. And it was then that I began to pivot. And someone, when I spoke of this foundation 2 years ago, it began to take life on a piece of paper. And someone said, you made a full recovery. You're not mangled enough to make a difference in anyone's life. And that was another pivotal moment of, well, neither are they. And look at that. They're broken too. And then it was sharing my story and hearing other people talk about experiences, big, small, major, catastrophic, minor. And the emotion was the same. And, when you put those pieces together, you realize that you and I aren't different. We cry, we're sad, we're mad, we're frustrated. Do we always know why? No. Was it a catastrophic trauma? Maybe not. Maybe it was, but probably not. You're okay to not be okay.
Right.
And it was all of those little traumas of losing my routine, my athletic life, biking, working out, trauma. It was losing my dog. Yeah, the one that hurt me, losing my dog. That's a trauma. It wasn't what he did to me. It was knowing that he didn't know what he was doing. He just knew he had to protect himself. Okay, he was found roaming the streets, put into the pound, and then given to a rescue, immediately adopted to me. It wasn't his fault, but I lost my dog, and that's a trauma. And a lot of people don't really understand when I say that, and just it wasn't his fault. It just wasn't. And then Amelia, she watched it. If you don't think dogs know what's going on and have emotion, oh, they do. She was traumatized. Pet psychiatrists definitely had to get one. She was the one I adopted, abused. And it took me 1.5 years to socialize her in the beginning. So I had to re-socialize her. And so the trip was good for her. When I walked through the door from the hospital, Great Dane tears falling on the floor. And so knowing that she had to endure that. And then realizing that the life I was living really wasn't mine. It was the one I was told to live, interestingly enough. If you are, when I graduated undergrad, 2005, if you are a bubbly type A, blonde, attractive, you went into pharmaceutical sales. And so that is where I went. And pharmaceuticals and biotech is where I stayed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I really didn't, I don't think that I really wanted to have stayed this long, but I began to do a deep dive and figure out who I am and what I want and what made me happy. And it's a lot of reflection. And what made me the happiest was helping people and saying, you know what?
Yeah.
You're okay. You're normal. You should feel that way. And then seeing what the healthcare system does. 20 years of hard work, sacrificing vacations, one accident, and oh, wow. Well, that was a waste because, let's see, the doctors, hospitals, everybody else has that now. And so it's realizing that if I was okay financially and taken to the ground, what if you're not? Then what? And what happens to so many people is they fall off. They never get the mental health care that they need. They never have somebody say, yes, you have PTSD. Yes,
Right.
this emotion is okay, but here's how we can better your mental health and overall better your physical health. Because if our mental health, emotionally, we are not okay, physically, we are not okay. The nervous system, the skeletal system, all connected. When one is off, the other is off. And so, a lot of people have stomach issues, indigestion, diarrhea, constipation. Your nervous system might be out of balance. It might be something that you're holding in the body, from biotech pharma. I will bring that to the table. But we are completely mind and body connected. And when the mind is not right, the body is not right.
Right.
And when I have started to improve the mental health, the physical health began to improve. When I started going back to Pilates and doing as much as I could, the the healing took place. The skin regenerated.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I believe that a lot of that physical activity that brought me joy brought me an emotional relief as well, and then vice versa. I have had, when I started, I had two coaches, trauma coach, grief coach,
Wow.
two therapists, psychologists. I mean, I was armed and ready. I'm intelligent enough to know that, okay, this is going to have some damage. So let's go ahead and get everybody lined up and get it fixed.
Yeah.
Again, I hurried up, I rushed like I always do, and I attacked the wrong problem. I'm
Mm.
looking at the most obvious, and I didn't address everything that was underneath. And it's that normal, simple human emotion. It is that pain, it is that trauma that is unvalidated or invalidated. Mine, I had a lot of, it's hard not to validate what happened. But when I made a recovery, it was an unvalidation. And that is an undoing. And
Mm-hmm.
me believing that what happened wasn't really that bad. I really
Wow.
questioned, I
Wow.
began to question everything I was doing because I don't have vivid memory of it.
Mm.
And the person that was closest to me kept saying, wasn't that bad. Made a full recovery. I talked to the doctors. Everything was fine. I'm like, but they didn't tell you the same thing they told my parents. And so there was a lot of conflicting information. And I look in the mirror and I think, huh, did I make it all up? Am I lying? There was a lot of that. So if anybody out there has had trauma and somebody has unvalidated you and you look in the mirror and think, oh my God, I'm a fraud. If it happened, it happened. Nobody can make you believe otherwise. It was an event. It was a trauma. It was catastrophic. It happened. And
Let me
the
give you a quick
redoing of the
opportunity.
undoing.
Let me give you a quick
Do what?
opportunity. I want to make sure. I want to make sure they get this. I want to give you a quick opportunity to tell us about specifically the foundation. I think it's called Restore 180. I want to make sure that we
Yes.
have a good 1 to 2, 3 lines about what the overarching goal of the foundation is. I know we talked about like a little bit high level, but I wanted to give you the opportunity to give us, 2 or 3 lines about really what the core mission of Restore 180 is, and really what you're doing to kind of build community around that brand.
Yes, absolutely. The foundation, like I said, was given birth shortly after I got out of the hospital. And it didn't really take shape until probably a year and a half after the accident. And what Restore 180 Foundation is designed to do is support nonprofit organizations who treat, deal with, provide resources, assistance to anyone struggling with trauma, grief, any kind of mental health, whether they need inpatient, outpatient therapy services, retreat. Say there was a catastrophic event, a fire, they need clothing, food. All of these go to support these nonprofits that provide. I am one person. I cannot do all of this myself. And that is why I want to partner with as many nonprofit organizations across the U.S. and provide additional funding so that they can help people get through their traumas. I also work with animal rescues. A lot of times when you're in the hospital or relocating, you need help with your pet. And so it's a lot of those little details that, unless you've been there, done that, you forget about. And so making sure that we can all heal, making sure that finances aren't the issue, um, and bringing complete recovery, complete validation, and really spreading awareness to a population that has forgotten that pain is real and that it needs to be validated. Restore 180 Foundation, it's rf180.org, um, is my gift back, because I don't think that anybody should ever have to heal alone and have to dig through the pieces
Yeah.
and sit around waiting on someone to tell them that their human emotion is normal and that they can get through it. You're not alone. How many times has that saved our life? You're not alone. I'm here. We've got you. And so it's outstretching an arm, love, genuine love to people, because I know that pain. I know that loneliness. I know that heartbreak, and I know that struggle. Um, and I will not let you do it alone. I won't. Um, and that is where it came from. In addition, I wrote a book, That One Shattered Day. It details a lot of the events, and it combs through the hidden traumas, the collateral damage. And then there'll be one behind it. I think the first one, they're looking at a November launch, so we'll start the book launch pretty soon. I knew when I wrote it, if it didn't get picked up by a publisher, um, then it wasn't what I thought it was, and it got picked up by a publisher. And so here we are today. God's hands are all in it. So I would not be this far physically, emotionally, and with the foundation, the book. It is definitely God's hand in this. And that's why I think so much love has been poured into it. And we always hear it's those people that have suffered the most that give the most. And I always thought that is the strangest thing. Until you sit there and you think, that is exactly right. And it's because we know that pain. And no, I don't know you. I don't know any of you, but I don't ever want you to feel what I felt alone. So Restore 180 Foundation is here. And I want to hear other stories, because it's the stories that we share, people that share their stories with me, that did more healing than anything else, because you brought me comfort and peace. And for a moment, I felt like I had a hand to hold. And so it's our stories and me sharing mine. It took the power away from it. it allowed me to make sense of certain things and to revalidate myself. Um, and the traumas, and we need that. We need that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let me give you this question before we kind of
Sure.
keep our closing segment. What would you tell somebody who feels that they're broken beyond repair right now? What would Chelsea Elizabeth tell somebody like, Chelsea, look, I am just, I'm just at the bottom of the totem pole. I'm just so broken. I can't see my way out of this thing. Everything looks broken. Everything is shattered. I don't know really how to plant my feet in the ground. I am broken beyond repair. What do you
Yep.
tell them?
I will tell you that at approximately 1:20ish p.m., I was sitting in front of my therapist saying the exact same thing. Um, it's an ebb and flow, ebb and flow, ebb and flow. And it keeps on up and down and up and down. There are days that we get up, perform, and can accomplish. And then there are days where everything seems to be collapsing. The foundation, it's been so difficult to get off the ground, get awareness, get funding, be able to help, get the website done, the book, everything. And I sat the last couple of weeks thinking, this is all for nothing, all for nothing. Did I mention that the company I had been with let me go? They went ahead and merged, and so my job that I worked in the hospital while I was recovering, that was paying my bills, is gone. And so, yeah, when you get back on your feet, there's going to be something that drags you back down. Because at that moment, before May 17th, I had gotten my footing, I had gotten my grounding, I had a plan, everything was set into motion. Um, and then the job. I've been trying to sell my house. The house isn't selling. And it's all of those things that just start stacking. And you have to get up with faith. And if God brought you this far, He didn't bring you just this far. If you have overcome, you're an overcomer, you're a winner. And if it's hard right now, reach out. Ask for help. I'm horrible at asking for help. I'm horrible at saying I'm not okay. I'm horrible at saying, you know what? I fought for 2 years not to become a statistic after an accident, and here I am becoming a statistic. Where, we're one accident away from losing it all. And if I lose it all, I'll get it back. Is it going to be fun? Am I looking forward to it? Nope, not even a little bit. But when the time comes, I'll reach out. I know you have to ask for help. You have to ask for help, not necessarily financially, but emotional. You have to have emotional support, because if your emotions are not in alignment, you can't make the right decisions. You can't go the right directions. And so sitting here watching the world crumble, um, I know that what I'm doing is the right thing, because I keep coming onto shows like this and sharing my story. And people keep asking to hear my story. And there's plenty of visits to the website. The book got picked up by a publisher. And so if I look at the little things that have gone right, I know that whatever's going on badly right now, it's just temporary. It's just another redirection, a refocus. What is it? I don't know. Um, but this is the first time I've shared it out loud. And I'm not afraid of it. Um,
Mm, I
I'm
love it. I
I'm
love
not afraid of it.
I love that. And I honor you and your courage in saying that out of your mouth for the first time. I don't at all take that lightly. And the space is really designed for you to be able to do that and feel safe doing it. I want you to finish this sentence, Chelsea. I didn't just survive. I
rebuilt.
Say it again.
I rebuilt.
Say rebuilding.
Oh, definitely. Yes, rebuild. I am rebuilding. I am rebuilding. And you know what? I'll rebuild as many times as it takes. And I was I was speaking at a conference last week, and somebody asked, at what point does it get easier? I don't think that it's supposed to get easy. Because if it were easy, I mean, what at the core would be within us? What would we have to offer somebody else if it was an easy ride, an easy ticket, if everything was handed? Then what could we offer another human being? $1? Then, at the end of the day, like I said, when you're laying there, it's about to end. Money is not what you're thinking about. And when you're building something that's designed to save millions of lives and bring communities together and bring joy and happiness and peace back into the life, it's going to happen. It's going to happen because we need this. We need it desperately. We need somebody to say, that's a trauma. Validate it, feel it, grieve it, and grow. Grieve it and grow. Don't forget it. Don't shove it. Live it. Embrace it.
Mm-hmm. And you know what, Chelsea, it's so interesting that you said that, because I found myself specifically probably in late last year, kept in my mind thinking like, oh, when I want to get to the spot where it's just a little bit easier. And I don't have to, and I don't have to give as much. I don't have to lead as much. I don't have to curate as much. Like I just want this period that feels easy. And I realized that teenager, it's not designed to be easy, right? I mean, you're gonna go through things, and really the core in you is really what you're building to be able to navigate life's woes. There's not gonna be this period where things just are oh so magical, oh so this, oh so that. And I think moving from that mindset, I think because it was just so hard at that time, when it's really, really hard, I guess that's what your mind tells you it needs to, kind of stay afloat. So I had to, break that down and say like, no, if you really just think about your entire, life story, there have been lots of quote unquote hard places, right? Yeah. But the only reason that you're here is because those things existed and you built the resiliency.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you learn to be a fighter and a fighter for yourself. I think a lot of us forget that, no, we're not fighting each other. We're fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for the betterment of ourselves, the quality of life that we deserve. And yeah, it doesn't get easy. It does not get easy. I don't care if you see somebody rolling up in a Rolls Royce, getting out dressed to the nines.
Right.
No, their every day is not easy. It's not. I'm sorry, you can't find one human being on the planet that doesn't have a struggle with something. We all have our rises. We all have our struggles. We all have our sadness. We all have our trauma. We all have our grief. Can't escape it. It's part of life. And it's remembering that it deserves the proper attention. It deserves the tears. It deserves the anger. It deserves the timeout. It deserves the reset, the refocus. Whatever your reset is. Mine is getting out of my house, going away for a few days, getting out of my routine, out of the norm, and then coming back. That is a reset, because I can leave behind whatever wasn't serving me. And whatever your reset looks like, it's vital to your survival. We have to do that. We are routine people. I mean, could you agree that every morning pretty much looks the same, afternoon, evening? We all have our routines of when we do and where we go and what we have. And it's necessary, yes, but it's not always healthy. Sometimes you need to break out of that. And leave some of the bad stuff behind. Pick up something good. Um, today, it's so funny that we're speaking today. Today was my day of undo and redos, of not working out at noon and going to therapy first and then going and working out, and just really flip-flopping my schedule. And I really, and it's just a few things that moving around at different hours, but I felt like a fish out of water. I'm like, this is completely all wrong. But it was healthy because the brain's like, okay, wait, what, now what, huh? We're what time? And so it really, I didn't get to hit autopilot. I really had to think about where I was going, what I was doing, and why. And so I had to prepare differently. And I don't think that we realize that we hit cruise control and let the routine dictate the life. And when you do that, is it really living? No. No, you are just surviving and probably not even feeling. And if I were to ask you what you had for lunch, you probably can't tell me because you were just doing it. And, a lot of us, I know that my lunch, I've come back and I'm like, I thought I ate that. It's still sitting on the desk. It's still, it's autopilot. And so part of living is turning off the cruise control, pumping the brakes, and flipping a few things around. And just see where it takes you. Do something different.
Let me tell you something, Chelsea. And I told you this before we started the interview. I honor you in this space. This is my time now to give you roses for showing up, continually showing up. Not for everybody else, but for Chelsea. For Chelsea's healing, for your dedication to out of your mouth say some things that probably still rock and shake you to the core.
Yeah.
I don't take it lightly, and I cannot thank you enough for allowing me to share a piece of your story.
Oh, I'm grateful for the opportunity.
And even when you want to stop, because let me tell you, Chelsea, there's moments I just want to stop.
Yeah.
I just don't want to do. That little voice that tells you that somebody needs to hear Chelsea's story, let their voice be greater and greater and greater and greater every day. Because even now in this healed state, it still gets hard.
It does. It does. And I've had a lot of people come to me and say, well, you do all these interviews and podcasts and you speak at conferences. You've made it. And I'm like, I've made it where? Because, it was everything I could do to drag myself out of bed this morning. I haven't made it anywhere. I just have a story that seems to bring people back to life.
That's good.
And if there's only one person out there that has any positive takeaway, then my time was well spent. And what an honor. And I'm so glad that I could tell you that it's okay. And and I'm everyone's hand to hold. I know. I mean, how much, that's what I look around and I'm like, how much worse can it get? I lost my face, my head, and my life that I knew, and then I lose my job. It's like, I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, it's,
I mean, and guys that are out here that may be watching this and you feel like there's just one thing happening after another thing happening after another. What else can go wrong? I want you to remember Chelsea's face because she has been almost literally a poster child of that. These are all the things that are coming, but I'm still rolling with the punches, as they would say. And coming back, maybe not, always better per se, but wiser each time. And for that, I have to tell you, thank you. So everyone that's out there who has spent this time with Chelsea and I have to say thank you. The Her Voice Shine podcast, love you. I tell you that all the time. Like the church folks say, I love you. There's nothing you can do about it. And really, I'll be back in no time with another amazing woman. Chelsea, again, I love you. And to all our listeners, we'll be back soon.
Yes, and if any of you are interested, find me on social media, Chelsea Elizabeth. If you would like me to speak on your podcast, your group, please reach out. I'm happy to keep sharing and grateful for the opportunities.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. And we'll be sure to link all of Chelsea's details in the comment boxes so that you can connect with her at your leisure. Again, thank you, and we love you.
Thank you.